Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow. Today is Saturday, October the 7th, and it looks like the little coleus did survive their first cold night. So all that worry for nothing, and that's usually how it goes, but I don't know. I sometimes just can't seem to help but worry about things. It could certainly have been a different outcome, but I'm thanking God for this outcome. I'm going to go over here and get these two. They just look as pretty as they did yesterday. That's great. And this little tiered pot really did turn out kind of like I had in mind for it too, but it did take a long time. So I may change it. I don't know, maybe not. Sometimes, things are worth the long wait. I just couldn't be happier that I still have a chance to get to enjoy the garden with the cooler weather. It's so nice this morning. Thank you, Lord. So if I get a chance, I will clip some of these off, like this one right here. Clip it off from in front of this little decor piece and put these in other areas. It's cool enough that they could live because it's not too hot, but it's also, risky to put it in, spend all that time, and then find out that they do go right ahead and die. We are in line for another cold front in around a week or even less, but from the forecast for now says it'll get down to 45, which is not as cool as it got last night, so hopefully they'll make it through that, unless of course that changes. You know how those forecasts are always changing. You got to keep on top of things, which I don't always do. And especially now, if I get a chance, you'll find me in the garden. But I'm going to have to get a new camera. This one, I got a little crack in it, which I was using it anyway. It wasn't that much of a problem, but I'm beginning to see that it's letting a little bit of light through, and I'm getting a little bit of foggy area in somewhere close to the middle of my picture, and that's not good. So I'm going to have to look into getting a new one. These are also a couple of coleus that I would like to actually clip back some. There's some other coleuses behind this, and I don't think you can even see them right now, but when I get these clipped back you can see them, and I think this will look better, and I'll have some of these pretty redhead coleuses to go in other areas in the garden. Do you remember when I had some little seeds started, and one of them was Tyrannia? Look, it's blooming. I don't think I ever told you that I did get this cleaned out. Got all the peonies clipped out of it anyway, and that was my goal. Of course I need to go down this other side and get all these iris too, but I can wait a little bit on them. So it's good to get this done, and at least I didn't get too tired to get it done, even if I did get too tired to record it. Do you remember me saying that this little Stella D'Or daylilies would probably not bloom, but it may in the fall? There it is in all of its beauty. And I think the sun is kind of fading it out because it's beautiful bright yellow. I have been happy today ever since I walked out this morning and realized that God did hold my little coleuses over for another day, and I get to enjoy them, or I get a chance to. I know the freeze could still come, and whatever He, has for us, that's what we'll have to do, and we'll know that His way is good. But it is hard to accept some things sometimes, very hard. Look at this. Let me find it for you. Actually, I'm going to have to go around so I can get it at a better light, I think. And I'm not sure it's still going to show the sunlight. It's going just about ready to go down. And it's kind of putting a glare on. But there, I think you can see that diamond frost euphorbia. Some things just refused to keep going in that heat, but they didn't die. And then when the first bits of cool weather came, they began to grow and shine, and I just love this little diamond frost euphorbia. I always think it looks like little Christmas lights in the garden, and it's so good to see it brightening up any spot. This happens to be the one where I put it this year, but I've had it in many different places, and it looks good in all of them. And I just finished watering. I got to start so that I could finish before dark. The weather is wonderful. I'm not sure what the temperature is, but I know it's a very pleasant temperature. And I totally enjoyed watering today. It's just such a difference when you're not in the heat. And I think the pictures that I had when I was saying that was right in the full sun that's just fixing to go down to at least down on this side of the house. It'll be up still for a while in the front, but it will be heading down, and it'll soon be nighttime. But it's just so wonderful to have a day like today, and I am hoping that I have several more of them and the time to get to enjoy it before it all goes away. Of course, I'm not even through bringing everything in. I still want to bring in this spike and several things actually, but first, if I can, I'd like to enjoy them out here just a little bit longer. Doesn't that look like fall? And I know that most people think of fall as jackets and enjoying cooler weather, which I totally agree with the cooler weather part, but I'm fine with just 80 degrees, 70 degrees, 60 degrees. That's great with me, and I consider that fall. As soon as the cooler weather comes and it stops being torture to go out in our gardens and starts becoming wonderful to be out there in the beauty that God made, that He put here for us to enjoy, and I want to get to do that. And I would definitely say today was one down for that, and I hope we have many more before it's over, even though I know it will soon be over. That's kind of like life in the later stages, and that's where I'm at too, and I know that. I just have so much I hope to get done, as you know if you've listened to any of the posts. So I'm glad that I do have goals and ambitions. And oh look, I forgot this little penny right here when I was clipping the pennies down. I'm going to have to come out here and do that. But I knew I might find some that I missed. But anyway, I want to get that done today, even there's still plenty of light to do that. And I just hope that you enjoy all of the rest of your fall season too. I hope things are renewing and you're feeling a renewal. I feel it today, even though, as I told you, I whined all day yesterday at the prospect of losing it all, but it didn't happen. And if you think, well, that's a foolish thought that it could already, you just have to look back a few years, maybe even just two or three, and you can see when our frost came in October several times in a row, and it was just all gone before we got to enjoy it. And if you still can enjoy it in the heat, you just are very lucky, because I used to could to a point, but it was always that heat always got to me, but now it just gets to me to the point I really don't enjoy it at all. I totally suffer through it, but it's worth it when you can come back out and have these wonderful days to enjoy it. And I don't know if I can or not, but I'm going to try to start my niece Lacey some of these roses. These are two that she's requested. One of them is, it changes color as it matures from just a pale yellow with little hints of pink to a more pink with little tiny hints of pale yellow. And then the other is a mixture of pink and red, just twirled all together, the colors. And this one is just a little Joseph's coat, which has been around for a long time, but it's so beautiful. And this is actually the first year for me to have one that really took off and went, even though it's small still. But I've enjoyed it so much. I want her to be able to enjoy this too. I know she will. So, but that's if I can get them started. I don't know that I can, but I don't know that I can't. So I've got them here in this little rooting pile. I'm going to shake that up so that it gets up the stem a little better. And then I'm going to put them in some potting soil with perlite and see if they will grow a little root and get her a start for next spring. So I told my sister Christine that I tried starting a rose one time with a potato. Cut the potato in two, put the rose stem down in the potato, but all I grew were potatoes. And she said, try banana. That's what she tried. And she was hoping it worked. And you know, that sounds possible, because I know that roses like bananas, the potassium in them. So I'm going to give that a try. So here they are. And I tried carrying them over here in this little tray, which did not work. I spilled two of them and had to redo them. But I just put their root or their stem down in a little piece of that banana and then put it in the soil and firmed the soil down around the stem, and then watered them good. And because it's supposed to get down into the 40s, actually low 40s again tonight, I'm going to take them inside. But then, because they always do better outside for me. All plants do. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to try to give them as much of this fall weather as I can, and hopefully their roots will be started. And then I'll either take them to her and let her take care of them, because actually she can do better with plants than I do. And so especially, I'm sure, house plants. But anyway, I want to do this for Lacey because one thing she asked me to, and another thing because her mom, my sister, has always compared us as being so much alike, which I don't really see that. She is a redhead knockout beauty, and she's as sweet as anybody ever could be, and she has the love of God all over her, in her heart, through and through. And Lacey, if you don't know it already, and I know you do, I love you. I hope these work for you. And I hope they work, because Christine's the one that told me about the banana thing, and maybe it'll give them a really good start. And I would also have to say I love all my nieces and nephews. You know, it's just something special that, you know, God gave you these people to be a little bit closer to, people that become bonded to you and part of your life. And since God did carry my little coleus over for another day, I am going to go ahead and put some of them in rooting powder and get some more starts in a few places that are now bare from where I moved the pots and took inside. And I think this pretty dark red coleus needs a few lighter or the green coleus around it just to bring it out so it doesn't kind of get hidden in there. I know you think, how could red be hidden? But that green does bring it out a lot more when it's around it. And if you remember, I put one of these little earth sign, a little clipping of it over here in this watering can pot, and it promptly died. Well, it might have took it a few days, but it didn't make it because the heat was just too much for it, just like it was too much for me. But I think I'm going to try that again. So there, if we have a long fall, we'll get to enjoy this. And if we don't, I may feel like I could have found something better to do with my time if it's just here for a very short while and then gone. But right now it looks good and promising. And I did go ahead and put another little earth sign in this pot. And I also put one in this little pot. I had a pretty sedum in there, but it has struggled in that little pot. And I don't know if this earth sign will make it there either, but it's bright and pretty for the moment. And if it puts down a root, it could be pretty for a longer length of time too, for much enjoyment in the fall. I'm also going to clip some of these little coleus seeds off and bring them in. I don't know if I'll ever use them because I prefer to get them already started in the spring. But if I can't find them, I think it would be worth trying to start one for these beautiful Kong coleuses. And I clipped these little coleus, the red ones, down so that you can see the green behind them, and I think it just looks much better. The last time I watered, I took the dead celosia and zinnias out of these little pots. And I'm going to try refilling those with some coleus also. And now it's getting a bit dark, so I'll try this, and if it doesn't show up, I'll try to get it again tomorrow for you. But they look so much better when they're full of plants and color. And we'll see how these will do. Again, we'll just have the same scenario as far as if fall holds out for us and we have a long, beautiful fall, these will be beautiful and we'll enjoy them for a long time. And if the freeze or even just extremely cold weather for these coleus, they don't like it very cold. So they may not have long, but aren't they pretty now? So these two are looking great this morning, but this little one crunched up, so I'm going to replace it. I put a few more little coleus. They have wilted down a bit, but it's only like 79 or 80 degrees, so I think they will make it. They just have to get their little roots down and hopefully look great. It certainly looks better having some in it instead of having a bunch of bare spots everywhere. And you can tell where I tried to start some earlier in the season and they just did not make it. And I put a few more in this little pot to fill it out some too, because it wasn't there, but it just looked scraggly. So I'm hoping that these will fill it out and take that look away and give it a more lush look. It's going to take it a while to kind of get going. And these that I showed you last night, they looked so great, and they still looked great this morning. But now you can tell they're beginning to wilt a little bit. But I think they will make it. I'm going to hold on to that thought. I also noticed that this little plant has succumbed to, I tried it too soon, and now I don't know if I have enough of it left to try again, because I certainly don't want to lose my original one trying to get two and have none. But on the other hand, this will just die back to the root, so I could maybe take a little piece and try again now that the weather's cooler, and before it totally gets so cold that it couldn't possibly make a little root. I'm not sure if I will try messing with that or if I will just hold on to this one and try again in the spring. Look at this beautiful ebb tide this morning. That's the way it shows in the picture, and that's the way I think of it as being, even though many times it's more pale. But of course in the cooler weather they look their brightest, like every other bloom in the garden. And I did clip this little one off, and I also put a few more little coleus in this too to just kind of fill it out more. And I put the one that I clipped off there over here in this pot, and it looks so much better. It took this little pot all season to fill out, but it did fill out, and it does look good. Look at this little pot of profusion zinnias, how bright the color is. They were way paler than this, but still pretty. But I love it when they get their bright fall, or that's their color, but fall brings out the darker, brighter color in the same plant, or the same plant's bloom. I also put some coleus in this little pot. There, I did try it again. It doesn't look like much, and it very well may not make it again. So, but at least I tried, and who knows, it could take root and be there in the spring. It is showing us what it will do. I knew soon it would, and it's filled out pretty well. The Chinese dunce caps in this little pot are really putting their little dunce caps up. But if you'll remember, I had a little seedling coleus come up here that was the color, so close to the color of this little geranium, but it just didn't make it. That old hot sun got to it before our weather changed. It did not change until in October, so all of our September was pretty much hot, so it didn't make it anyway. I was anxious to have it blooming in here, or growing in here with it, to add the color, but that didn't happen. And it's beginning to look like my little roses are not going to go ahead and root either. They still could, of course. This one looks fairly healthy. This one's beginning to curl up, and this one is a second one that I did, and even it is also crisping up. And I noticed the last time I showed you this, the sun was glaring on it, so but I wanted to show you again that this one has got the little dunce caps up on the succulent. I kind of prefer just the little succulent, but this is a unique little thing about it, and why it's called a dunce cap. I did look it up. I thought, well, maybe these were how it proliferated, but it said that it was very rare for them to proliferate from this seed that's on this little dunce cap, and it was better to just do it from a little clipping of one of the little succulent rosettes. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.